Alright, so a part one of a guide, you could call it, of, just doing NR offline leagues and series and all that stuff, whatever you want to call it. So why did I decide to make a video or a guide like this? Well, I'm on my break again, and just want to do something different for a change. Might give some people some tips. I know it's very late to do this, but some people are still doing it. Some people are still, still started out and all that. So I've been curious. I've been watching some of anyone who does offline series, does an offline series. I've been stalking your channel. Okay, not really stalking, just a GTA 5 joke. Been watching some of the races, and yeah, I'm thinking, why not give some tips? Because, well, I wasn't, these races are definitely better than how I started. I used to do race recaps. They're about a minute, 2 minutes long, and most of you guys are already doing full races. So it took me a while to do actual full races, and it took me another while to do commentary. So we'll do it the basics. So yeah, so programs. NRatings is very, very, very important when you're doing offline leagues. So NRatings is pretty easy. It doesn't look easy at first because of all this numbers and grids and, okay, not grids, but all this stuff. But first time it would tell you, I believe it'll tell you where your NR executable file is, where the game actually runs. So you have it at C drive, Papyrus, and NASCAR Racing 2003 season. You gotta have the full name there. So they'll find it. No need to just a folder. You don't need to do any more. Just a folder. That's it. Choose a mod. So this is pretty much, it will load up anything from your series folder. So we'll go in here, series, and you can clearly see that they're all here, of course. But if you were to import another mod into the series folder, you're going to need to restart NRatings. I'll show you an example. Here I have a separate folder where I keep other mods. NR is only limited to 16 mods at a time. So just do this the easy way. So we'll just let's put in the ARCA mod. We'll just put in the series, and of course we go back to NRatings. It's not there. So even if you do that, it's not there. So close it out, reopen it, wait for it, and it should be there. There it is. So yeah. So actually, I shouldn't really be talking NRatings right now, but just talk about programs. Recording software. Yeah, I should be talking about recording software as well. So OBS is good. OBS is free. I have it here, but I don't use it for NR. I use Fraps, and Fraps can be very demanding. Bandicam works too. Even the trial version is pretty good, only like 10 minutes versus 30 seconds. And Fraps takes like a very big chunk, like of thing. I record at 1080-60, so that takes a lot. 1080-65, but it gets rendered out in 1080-60. So that's a lot, and I believe I still got the raw files from the recent race, the Brands Hatch. Have it here it is. So you can see that's a lot of files. I have the old version of Fraps, so the newer version will allow you to have them all bunched up together, but the older version will have them cut every 4 gigabytes. So you could just click one. You can already see this video clip, 40 seconds, 3.95 gigabytes. I don't know why I said 39. So you can see here, 920 by 1080, 65 frames. Look at this, holy shit, big ass number. So you can imagine how many clips this is, and we'll just highlight all of them. It's 66 clips. I don't think, well, let's see, that's 195, so that is a lot. So that's about like 100 gigs, probably. So it's all stored in this big ass external hard drive. It's 5 terabytes. But most of you guys won't need anything like that, especially if you're not using Fraps. If you're not using Fraps, then you're alright. Well, it's in the AVI format, so if you can do Bandicam, I'll just open up Bandicam right here. This is what I use to take screenshots. We'll get into that later. If your computer is struggling to record, like you get major frame drops, then yeah, that happens with Fraps because they only recorded the AVI, and AVI is ridiculously big, but AVI has the best quality. I believe it has the best quality, but I end up running in MP format anyways. So the raw, I think it does. Well, people say it does, but to me, it's not that big of a difference. I don't even see a difference. But if you have Bandicam, oh shit, even the unregistered, it's the same process, of course. You know, still unregistered is pretty good. 10 minutes for the unregistered version. So you go to settings, just go to video format settings and switch to MP4. MP4 is a lot smaller, a lot better to work with, especially if you have like very little hard drive space. So that's pretty good too. But if you have the power to actually, I use Fraps because I'm more used to Fraps or Bandicam. They're mostly the same. Either way it works. Either Fraps, Bandicam, OBS, whichever one you prefer. So that's it. So Score 4 we'll get into later because it's a little bit, even though it's a program you don't exactly need it because there's other ways of calculating points. So you got the basic programs, and now you need the tracks. So you set off what kind of tracks. So so you're doing a Cup series. You're doing it based off the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup series. You want something a bit better. Now, of course, you don't exactly need. This is like the up-to-date Daytona. This is the Daytona Rising, which is basically the SDT, not STD. Oh, creepy. Version of this is just with the grandstands updated up to the new one and the back straightaway. The Budweiser, I think it's called the Budweiser stands patio. I don't know. Has been removed. So we'll do the basics. I've been doing this for a long time. So the few lines you gotta go is you start from the top. You scroll down until you see these. I call them. Oh, damn it! That's the second time already. I call these things rectangle brackets. That's a really dumb name. Square brackets, you can call them, not the curvy ones. The curvy ones are these ones right here. The curvy ones, these are square. So straight or something. So the two main, or maybe more than two main lines, well yes, is of course AI bunching distance and drafting distance. But before you do any changes, make sure it's under, if you're doing the cup physics, if you're doing the cup mod and using cup physics, you should be using cup physics. Of course, the easiest way to do it, you go into your cups and then go to cars, go to mod series and all that, and see cup car. So that's the easiest way. So cup will always fall into just AI underscore track. So AI drafting distance. I used to set it to 1.1, but it was a bit chaotic. Eventually, I just started to bump it up just a little bit to maybe 1.2, 1.18, somewhere around there. 1.2 and 3, and yeah. So this is mainly like oval racetracks. Road courses, you might want to bring it down just a little bit more lower, maybe under 1 or just exactly 1. That works out pretty well too, because road courses can be can be boring, or like really boring. So you want to lower that. So bunching distance. Bunching distance is basically when they. I actually explain them too. Yeah, very unorganized. My first time doing these guide videos. But drafting distance is basically how close they run while they race. So of course, the lower the number, the closer they race. But of course, you don't want them to go too low, or they're just gonna start wrecking each other. It looks like they're bump drafting. Well, they are bump drafting, but eventually they're just gonna turn each other and cause a huge wreck. And bunching distance is when on the restart how much they bunch. You don't want them to go too low, but you don't want to go too high, because then you're just going to space out, and it's just going to be all going to be spread out. And pacing distance is how far apart how far they'll pace under a caution or right at the start of the race. So 2.3 is pretty good. Pretty much the default value is always the best. But if you want to lower it, you can lower it, but just by a few ticks. Just by a few. Drafting distance, they're usually set to 1.8 by default. Most of them do. If not, just a couple ticks. So around 1.18 or 1.15, but between 1.15 and 1.3. That is the right there. So keep it between there for oval racetracks. We'll get in the road courses later. So sometimes when you go into these INI files, these are usually just they don't exist in the original Papyrus tracks. Of course, the ones that come with the thing, because these things didn't exist. I don't think they expected people using, making mods, changing the physics. So GNS is Grand National Series. It obviously the Bush Series or the Xfinity Sportsman, whatever you want to call it. If you don't see anything like drafting distance, so we have one right here. But if you don't see any of this over here, it will fall under the AI track. It will always fall under the AI track. If drafting distance did not exist in this line, I'm doing my best to explain things, but I'm not very good at explaining things. If the drafting distance does not exist under the GNS line, then it will fall under AI track always. So it's mainly just for realism, to make him feel like driving like Grand National Series cars, not Cup, not 1970s Grand National, Bush Series, Xfinity, Sportsman, Budweiser late model, whatever you like. And of course, CTS being the trucks, pretty much same thing. So you only need to worry about these two lines. That's it. Those two lines for now. When you start getting into a bit more into it, then you can mess with things like squeeze, slip curve. This is major in dirt tracks, but we're not talking about dirt tracks. Things like that. The scaling, the panic. The panic is something I don't really touch, because I think that decides the how they react to a wreck. I forgot which is better, lower or higher. But anyways, these are the two: bunching distance, or maybe three. Pacing, but pacing you wouldn't really touch. Bunching and drafting, but mainly drafting. That's what you get the lot more fun into a race, so it doesn't become a bore fest. So yeah, there you have it. So mods, of course. Talk about the mods. So I use the Gen 6 BR15, which is no different to the original Gen 6 BR. This is pretty much the exact same thing, but with the 2015 Cup cars. So yeah, I mean, I'm saying so yeah a lot. I have this so just to separate most of my cars. I got about not 362. So let's try to organize this. Let's see how many cars do I actually have. Oh, looks like I mixed up a couple of TGA files in here. So from LST, that's the list, that's the roster file that you make in the game. But I've got about, how many cars in here? So 340 cars in this, and the original being that many, a lot more than 1,000. So it's good to have separate mods, even if they're the same, because it keeps everything very clean. You got the CTS, but that's just for the K&N cars. So yeah, so those are the programs and quick easy tips. Now actually let's get into a race. So I showed you how, let's actually go back to the tracks. Showed you how the bunching distance and all. Let's show you an example of a very bad adjustment, a very low one. Let's drop this to 0.09 and let's drop the bunching distance to 0.1. Save it for now. Let me save it for now. So we'll move on to NR and show you how bad it gets when you drop it down to like a lot. Okay, we're in NR2003. We're in the main menu. I know mine's a little bit screwed up, but it doesn't matter. So we'll go into Daytona Rising. That's the track we adjusted. So I'll just take the, nope, wrong one. Just take the season 11 thing. So we got one lap. Crank this up to 110. So mainly you want to have this up to 110. So you can actually, even the game tells you when you hover your cursor around it. So they get faster when the value increases, so it gets harder. If you're in a race, actually race, but you should never race in your own offline league. But yes, the more they go, the faster they get. But sometimes you can get chaotic. But Daytona obviously is okay, because Daytona is Daytona. You can go 240 miles an hour and not have a problem. Okay, so we'll just wait for everything to load. When your cursor flashes like this and your frames go all over the place, that means it's loading everything. So now it stopped flashing, so everything's all loaded up. So we'll just click on the race, the little square with the white triangle. So
10-4.
So there we go, TV1 standings, qualifying. You show the qualifying results. I don't usually do the starting lineup. Some people do it, which takes a lot of time. I don't think, well, if you like to do it, you can do it. I don't think it's necessary. It's very time consuming and all that. So qualifying and all that stuff. But I'm gonna show you how bad it gets when you decrease those two values to like big increments. So we do accelerate. Okay, look at that. You see that? Oh, it's horrible. So ignore the sound of a keyboard. I shouldn't be using a clicky keyboard like this, but we're not actually doing the race. So look at that. Oh, 3 wide. Oh, 4 wide. Oh, 4 wide. The race haven't even started. Watch what they cause a wreck. It's gonna be one lap. Who's gonna win this race? So green flag waves, and oh wait. Oh, there he goes. Oh, there goes Casey Kane and Junior. Oh no, Junior. Oh no, he's not gonna. Oh, big wreck. Ryan Reed and everyone gets collected. Oh, caution's out. Okay, so it's down to Eric Alaroma and I forgot, David Reagan and Denny Hamlin. Who's gonna win the Daytona 500? Oh, here comes Landon Kessel. Here he comes. Can he make it? He's gonna power right through. But you saw right there how badly it gets when you lower those two values. Big difference. Big disaster, not difference. And Eric Alaroma is going to win the Daytona 500 or Daytona 2.5. Woo! So, yeah, about the laps. You could change the values. It's the first, I guess you could say the first section of the INI file. We'll do that later though when we get into like green, white, checkers, or maybe you just want to do custom. But there you have it. Oh, we gotta take a look at that. Oh, whoa, big wreck. Here we go again. Oh, Joey Logano. Oh, he's big wreck. Eric Jones too. Everyone else, I have no idea. Okay, oh, Ty Dillon. Oh, what an avoidance. He's gonna get the All-State award. If you don't know, that was back in the old days of Nextel Cup. They give that award to the drivers in good hands. I think they do that for something else though. But Eric Alaroma wins the Daytona 500. But you saw how insane that was. So look at this. So you don't do it. This is what happens when you drop them. I just thought it was funny to show. Now I'm not really a guide. More like just sticking around. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. Oh, he took out the 7. Screw everyone else. Cole Witt. He somehow worked his way up. Just joking. He's flipped. So Cole Witt, I don't know how he could have made it in here, but he just flipped. So that was pretty fun. So just pretend this is the race. You just completed a race. So once you're done with the race, you usually you can save the replay if you like. Call it, I don't know. Got a lot of random shit. 13, the bonus. Call it, I don't know, ass. Or ass. Because that was a really assy race. Okay. So you save the replay if you want. But I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like it. But of course you're going to need the results. So you do the export, click the export, call it whatever you want. Usually when I name my races I go by the series name, like, okay, since this is the Cup, I'll go. It's the M&M Cup series, so they don't allow the symbols like the exclamation mark, the pound, dollar sign. They don't allow that, or do they? No, they don't. All right. So usually when I do it, I go okay. I do MM for M&Ms, 1 for the first race of the season, and the season. Let's just pretend this is season 12. So season 12, but I don't need to save it. So do the series name, the race number, and then the season. But you can name it whatever you like. But that's how I do it. Make it simple and all. So. After that, when you click done, they'll take you to Victory Lane and the music will play and you get a random generated headline, you could say. So we'll click the done button. There you have it. So that was the Victory Lane. That is not the original Victory Lane. No, that's actually the end credits for NR2003, but I changed it, even though I didn't realize it. But I like this one better. But I think most of you guys will have the default one, which is different from what you just heard. That's the end credits for NR. So what else can we get into? I guess we can get into the roster. So I go in the opponent manager. Okay, there's a slight lag. So you go into opponent manager, you click new for a new roster. I'll just call it test 1, 2, 3. So you click this little hashtag or pound, whatever, sorts a driver to list by car. See, the game tells you. It's amazing. No game does this. No NASCAR game does this no more. It's just bad. So you order them. So from 0 to whatever the last number, so it's 100. Even though it's not 100, it's just numbered 100. It's just a blank Chevrolet SS. So you can assign it, change the names, but change the names and NRatings. But we'll move on to NRatings right at the end of the video with a guide. So test 1, 2, 3. So you put in whatever you want. You put in, okay, let's put Jamie McMurray. We'll put in Keselowski. We'll put in Austin Dillon. We'll put in Josh Wise, because Josh Wise number 1. We'll put in the Canadian, because I'm biased. You know, gotta have the Canadian there. Yeah, and we'll put in. Let's put in Michael McDowell. You know, you get it. You know, put in Matt DiBenedetto. He's gonna win the championship this year. Junior, obviously gotta have Junior in there. Junior number 1. Kurt Busch. Who else? This guy. Taco Bell, or put Taco Bell. I have to have Taco Bell in there. Gotta have bush beans for some extra gas. What else could we put in here? We could put in. Gotta have some Rex. We have to have some Rex, man. Rex makes everything exciting. You have to have Danny Humlin, or Hameline. Let's put in Alex LeBay. Oh wait, no, this Cup Series. We'll put in Jeffrey Earnhardt. And, who else can we put in? Gotta have Jimmy Johnson. Gotta have 100 time in the roster. Ooh, so yeah, I kind of fooled around with that too much. So you change the name, change the team name, sponsor, and this is all for fun. See all this little things you can do in this game? It's amazing. So ratings, I said, well, you can adjust the ratings manually, but I wouldn't do that. So I probably should have done the NRatings first, but I told you this is very unorganized. But change the name, don't do it here. Do it to the NRatings and numbers, all that good stuff. So we'll go back to the desktop and do some ratings and stuff. Alright, we're back at the desktop. So NRatings, like I said, I should have done this from the start. I could have edited, but no. So very easy, just to change the name, you just double click it on the name. Now if you always want to put, if you can fit it in, always put, well, this is actually up to you if you like, but I prefer having the full name displayed if possible. Yeah, you don't need to, but when the last name is always printed out full, while the first name only has the first letter. So you always, I always put it mine on the last name if you like, if you can fit it. And of course you can only go so many letters. So let's put in something stupid like John Smooth. Now hear that bing? Can't so you can't put in John Smooth. So you gotta do this, or you can do the lazy way since it only prevents the first letter. You just put in the first, and then you can just, or you could save some characters actually, save some space. Smooth. Oh, I spelled it wrong. There we go. Look at that. Smooth, or sploch. I don't know. So very easy. So just keep doing that. Just so if you like, put in the last name. I prefer the last name. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So the formula, I used to go, so to adjust the ratings manually and easily and stuff, first you click select all right here. So every car from the roster, well actually we should choose a roster first. Let's choose, what is it, the Arcus? We'll just, yes. Okay, ignore that. So these are 35 cars, so we select all, so every car in the roster will be selected. You know, need to ignore the maps too. I don't know why I clicked it, but the way I do it, I click bulk and modify ratings manually. So I always leave aggression out. That's something different. I used to go aggression, wait, actually before that, make sure, so section 2, you could say select the cars you want to change, make sure you have all selected 35, well there's an all but doesn't really matter, just have them selected all, or just click selected, make sure they're all selected. So that should be set to both, and randomize, I prefer randomize. So it's always like this, it says so a gazillion times, I'm sorry. Let's select all, I always have aggression difference, so the old formula I used to do was 55, then to 65. Now I've lowered it, so now it applies, every car gets it. You could see all the, from, ignore, besides aggression, they're all between 55 to 65. There won't be one number off or one number over. So that goes for all the cars. Yes. So aggression, I used to do 100. Now I do very lower because someone said it's better to have them lower. That may or may not be true. I think it is. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I haven't seen too much of a big difference. So that's totally up to you. Nowadays, I do 15 to 25. So between 10. And for the rest, I did 45, 65. Now that's 20. Or I did 30. That I do. I think I did 25 and 35. So again 10, but it gets lower. Now why is it a big difference? Well, I think, well, once again, some guy was working on a massive, like big overhaul with the AI to make it more realistic. Now the lower the ratings, the harder the car will, it's harder for the AI to drive the car. And I think that actually might have changed. I think it does help when you lower it. I prefer keep it in between 10 to 20, so within each other. So 25, 35, 10, or you can do 25, 45, 20. So just click apply, and there they all go once again. So there you have it. So you can toy with it as much as you like, see what you like, go with 25, 45, go with 55, 65, maybe even go 80, 90. But here's a tip, here's the thing, never have them set all to 100 to 100. Why? Because they all will start in numeric order. I tried that a long time ago, I always had it. They'll always start in numeric order. So, whoops, why did I do that? So, never have them all set to 100, 100. Or qualifying, I think, is 100, 100. But yeah, just don't do 100, 100 for all of them, not just qualifying. Never do 100, 100. Always have them in a mix. Have them make it more realistic. So, yes, don't need that. Just show an example. So, there you have it. very long ass video, but very unorganized, a lot, and not very good. But the best I can do. So just want to try something different before I start up another series. So yeah, so that is it for now.